Swadika, welcome to Be My Guest. I'm Chalapansana Narula. Thank you very much for joining us. In commemoration of 200 years of friendship between the US and Thailand, the US government has organized the Great and Good Friends exhibition at the Queen Sirikit Museum of Textiles. And joining us today is a spokesperson of the US Embassy in Bangkok, Ms. Gillian Bernardo, who will be telling us more about this exhibition. Swadika. Thank you very much, Kun Gillian, for joining the program today. Tell us a bit about the Great and Good Friends exhibition. What's the story behind this exhibition?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to have you. The United States government, the embassy in Bangkok, is very excited to have the Great and Good Friends exhibition at the Queen Sirikit Museum of Textiles. This exhibition is a story of 200 years of friendship between the United States and Thailand. It began 200 years ago, this friendship, when an American man came sailing down the Chao Phraya River, and he was looking for sugar. And not only did he find sugar, but he also started this friendship that continues today.
So back in 1818.
Correct.
That was when the American sea captain came in.
That's right. So he came in, and through the years following that, there were letters exchanged between the kings of Siam and the United States presidents. And one of those letters eventually came through and was written by our president, Abraham Lincoln. And he used the greeting, "Great and Good Friend," when he wrote to our friends here in Thailand, then Siam. And that's the reason we named this exhibition Great and Good Friends.
That's why the name, I see.
That's why the name. And so from those letters from Abraham Lincoln, we have always thought of Thailand as our great and good friends. And you might not know that Thailand is the oldest friend of the United States in Southeast Asia. And so through this exhibition, we are very excited to tell the story of our growing friendship and explained through the items on display just how that friendship has developed through the years.
So we have about 79 historic gifts on display at the exhibition. Tell us about these gifts. Where are they coming from?
So the gifts on display, almost 80 gifts are on display. They were chosen by American curators to explain the relationship and how it's grown and developed. Some of them are letters that were exchanged, and some were gifts between US presidents and kings of Thailand. Some of these were held in warehouses and storage facilities, and others were on display in presidential libraries, for example. But it took several years for us to make sure that we collected items that represented the relationship, and also to conserve and prepare the items for travel. Many of the items have never been seen in public, and most of them will return to the lending institutions like our famous Smithsonian Institution or our National Archives or the libraries of presidents in the United States. And when they finish the display here at the end of June, they'll go back to safekeeping where they'll be preserved and archived for the future.
So which means this is a good time to come and see those items.
We invite everyone to please come. Everyone is welcome to the Queen Sirikit Museum through the end of June to come and see these items. And we also have a new offer whereby if you're at home or you're not in Thailand or you're unable to come to the museum, you can get on your phone or computer through Google Arts and Culture. And the website allows you to go in and look for the Queen Sirikit Museum of Textiles and do a 360-degree virtual reality tour.
Wow.
Feels just like you're here at the museum. And you can see the details and all the captions for all of the items so that you can learn about US-Thai history and the friendship from the comfort of your living room.
Now the exhibition actually opened sometime in March. How has the response been from the public?
It's been a pleasure to see many student and university groups come through to see the items on display. We've hosted officials from Thailand, officials from the United States. We've welcomed so many people, including members of the media. I hope what everyone has learned is that this long 200-year friendship between our two countries is special, and it's something that the United States values. Thai culture is something that is unique, and we have always taken a great interest. In fact, in the records of the United States when we started keeping track of important items in our history in the 1800s. One of the first items, one of the first 50 items, was an item from Siam.
Wow.
And so we really treasure our friendship, and we treasure the items on display as well.
So to make this event happen, I understand that you have collaborated with the private sector, American firms, and even Thai institutions. Tell us a bit about how have you worked with the Thai government in putting the event together?
Well, of course, we're here at the Queen Sirikit Museum of Textiles, and it's an honor to have the exhibition on the grounds of the Grand Palace. We've worked with our colleagues at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in the Thai Fine Arts Department. We've worked with Thai experts and preservation and conservation of the items as well. And then we've tried to make sure that we work with American companies who have supported not only this exhibition, but the 200 years, but decades of collaboration. And so we're so happy to have supporters ranging from American to Thai side.
Now, there are 79 items, as you did mention. I'm sure you've had a look at all of the items.
Right.
Is there any specific piece that you like the most that tells a story of both nations?
Oh, there's several items which I really enjoy. Of course, I like the letter from Abraham Lincoln, which says "great and good friend," because I think we can all take that to heart. I really enjoy the instruments on display because I know that His Majesty the late King Rama IX was an avid musician, and I think it really shows that we learned about modern culture by the way the gifts were given not only to presidents, but also there's an example from several decades ago whereby a gift was offered to the grandson of one of our US presidents. I think from that we learned that the Thai people care not only about the high-level relationships, but about the families and the people relationships, and that's an important part of this relationship and friendship that we're celebrating.
Absolutely wonderful. So once again, the exhibition ends on the 30th of June.
Correct. And you can look for it on the Google Arts and Culture page from then on. And we invite everyone to have a chance to come to the Queen Sirikit Museum by June 30th when it ends. And thank you very much for your support and for your interest as well.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dillian. สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome back to Be My Guest. We're now with the curator of the Great and Good Friends exhibition, Trevor Marion. สวัสดีค่ะ
Swatika.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I understand that you've been involved in this project since the very beginning, being responsible to choose some of these 79 items on display. So tell us a bit about how it felt once you learned that you'll be part of this historic celebration.
Well, it was very exciting to see that the embassy was interested in an exhibition of this nature, and you know, we didn't even realize though when the project began just how big it would get, and it was kind of one of those things that gained momentum and more people got involved, and we had a lot of great support from the US institutions and the Thai institutions, and we kept getting more and more artifacts, and the thing really blossomed into the exhibition we have here today.
So you specialize in Thai history. What made you interested in our story, our Thai history?
Well, it's a very important history for Thailand and for the United States. You know, this treaty that we have on display here, the 1833 treaty, is the first treaty between the United States and a nation in Asia. And so, you know, it's a story of how the United States grew from a young republic into the global power that it is today. And so, along with that, though, there's just many lines and storylines of the cultural significance of these gifts and the exchanges between Thailand and the United States.
So it's been like 200 years. It must have been hundreds and hundreds of gifts from Thailand to the United States. Right?
Yeah. The collections we were going through, I mean, thousands of artifacts that we ultimately narrowed down to the selection that you see on display here.
So the question is, I mean, in choosing the 79 items, was it difficult, you know, selecting the pieces to be displayed here?
Oh, very much so, because you know there were many beautiful artifacts that we didn't have space for, that for whatever reason were not available for the exhibition, and so many months were taken to make these decisions, and many items that we would have liked to see here were unfortunately not able to be included. But we have a much more extended catalog where we did incorporate some of these gifts that are part of this story.
So you've been responsible for selecting the items from the first 100 years, is that correct?
For both centuries, yes.
For both centuries. All right, so let's go and have a look at some of the highlights.
Yes, sounds good.
And here we are in front of some of the traditional musical instruments. Can you tell us about these gifts?
Yeah, so as many people know, His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej was a lover of music and particularly a lover of American jazz and swing music. And we wanted to share that special connection with himself, His Majesty, and the United States. And fortunately, His Majesty also in 1960 gave a set of traditional Thai instruments to the Library of Congress, a sort of gesture of indicating his respect for that institution and also showing his love for music. And you'll see in images in the exhibition a picture of him at the Library of Congress explaining these traditional Thai instruments to specialists at the Library of Congress. And we have the very flute that he is holding in that image, as well as other images of him meeting with U.S. presidents and discussing music and playing with famous jazz musicians such as Benny Goodman.
I see, and we hear his music now. Played in
Yes,
the
in the exhibition we have a composition of his, Yam Yen or Love at Sundown playing, and so it's a nice contrast between the traditional Thai music you hear in the 19th century part of the exhibition, and you move into the 20th century and hear the swing composition by His Majesty.
Now looking on my left, I see another interesting item. That is the Chantabun woven reed mat.
Yes,
what is this
yes.
piece about?
So this mat from the Chantaburi province was a gift from King Chulalongkorn in 1904. It's a woven reed mat, so is inherently very fragile, and in over a century in the collection at the Smithsonian, it sustained some damage. It had some folds in it and a large tear in the middle. And so, for this exhibition to exemplify the conservation that went into producing this exhibition, we wanted to restore this piece, and then to do that, conservators took many months to bring this piece to its original condition as nearly as possible.
So apart from the Chantabun reed mat, I understand that some of the items had to be conserved and reconditioned. There was a silver Nilo bowl.
Yes,
that was another piece.
All the artifacts on display in this exhibition were treated by conservators. Some of them really transformed through that process. So this silver Nielo bowl from His Majesty King Prajadipok, when we first saw it, you would have thought it was just made out of brass. It had been tarnished so much over nearly a century of being in the collection. And then the conservators, though, through careful preparation, were able to restore it to its original appearance. And now you'll see when you visit that it is actually this silver Nielo bowl with gold adornments. Furthermore, our gold robe in the other room, it was a very fragile artifact. It's woven from gold fiber thread, and so it had little pieces of brocade that had come loose over time, and the way the fabric rubbed against itself, it would cause it to deteriorate over time. But the conservators were able to affix those brocades and actually created this custom padded insert that they placed inside, and so now the fabric does not rub against and will be better preserved into the future.
It looks nice and new. In preserving these traditional Thai items, do you have to have Thai experts, helping with the task? Do you need experts from Thailand to go over to Smithsonian?
We spent a lot of time discussing with Thai experts the proper way to present these artifacts, and so you'll see that in the way that the Nieloware was displayed. So for example, we did not have a complete set represented in the collection, and so we didn't want to create any assemblages that would not be complete, and so we instead displayed the objects individually. And then another example is our prayer fan. And visitors will see that it's at a 45-degree angle, and that was a very deliberate decision because while we wanted to display it vertically the way that it would typically be used, conservators said that it was too fragile of an artifact to be displayed that way, and so we made this compromise between laying it flat and laying it vertically, and 45 degrees was that compromise.
Well, there are more items in the other room. Let's go take a look.
Sounds great.
So, Trevor, these are some of the historic pieces from 1856.
Yes. So what's significant about these artifacts is that they were the earliest gifts that we have on display here at the Great and Good Friends exhibition. And they're also some of the earliest artifacts that were accessioned at the Smithsonian Institution, which is sort of the National Museum of the United States. So they have a very important significance in both the history of U.S.-Thai relations, but also in the history of the United States and in the history of its National Museum.
Mm-hmm. So what do we have here?
So what we have here is part of a Nieloware set that was gifted and a silk hip wrap. And so what's interesting about these artifacts is they are ones that would have been part of a set gifted by the king to members of his court. And so in the court, the items you had would have signified your rank. And the items we see here signify the rank of a nobleman, which is what the king of Siam, King Mongkut, felt the President of the United States was equivalent to.
And then looking that way, we see a masterpiece, the Golden Robe.
Yes, yes, that was a piece we knew from very early on that we wanted to include in the exhibition. So that gold robe, that Chala Praung Kri, was originally it belonged to Prince Wan Wattayagon and to his father, Prince Naradip. And when Prince Wan was U.S. ambassador in 1947, he gave it to the Smithsonian Institution as a sort of a recognition of that institution's role in preserving world culture.
So this is from the first 100 years. In the other room will be the second part of the century, the second century
Yes,
of
yes.
our relations.
We've organized the galleries chronologically so you can walk through the history.
So what are the pieces that you like there from that room?
Well, we like how in Gallery 2 in the second century you'll see sort of similar items that represent the traditions of Thailand. However, they'll have transformed in ways to show how modernity and other influences have affected these artifacts. So you'll see the Nyelaware has the way it's been designed and its cultural and sort of political significance has changed and it is less a symbol of rank and more just a celebration of Thai traditions and culture. And furthermore, we have the most illustrious order of the Royal House of Chakri. So this was an order that was typically for foreign royals and Thai royals and had only been bestowed on two non-royals in history, one of them being President Eisenhower. And so you see a century after these artifacts that the sort of perception of the role of the U.S. president and their rank in global politics to have been elevated in the perception of the King of Thailand.
And also displayed by the Royal Order, the Royal Decoration, we see His Majesty's portrait and the desk set.
Yes, yes. So
What is it about?
this royal portrait is interesting because from the earliest gifts, from this 1856 gift, there was a portrait of King Mongkut, and that was significant in that portraits of Thai kings had not been commissioned in the past, and King Mongkut was the first to start using this very Western-style symbol of power. And King Mongkut is known for being very savvy at communicating and working with Western powers, and so he started including these royal portraits. And then you see in the 20th century, over his reign, His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej also creating these royal portraits. And it's very interesting to look at these collections at the presidential libraries and see how over the 70-year reign, a different portrait from each meeting with different presidents. And you see sort of the whole history of his reign through those artifacts.
So the portraits of His Majesty is generally exhibited at the Smithsonian Museum? Or where is it displayed?
The portraits of His Majesty are actually today in the collections of the presidential libraries. So each president since President Hoover has their own institution and they're located throughout the United States. And so these portraits are typically part of the collection and are not on display. So it was a great part of this project that we were able to bring some of them out and display them to people in Bangkok, and hopefully we'll find a way to display them in the United States as well.
Now we see royal gifts presented to the presidents. What about gifts to the First Lady? The First Ladies?
So in the second half of the 20th century particularly, Queen Sirikit became more involved in these gift exchanges and in representing the Kingdom of Thailand internationally. And she gave many gifts to First Ladies of the United States, particularly these woven baskets that were produced by artisans with the Support Foundation, baskets woven from the Pao fern vine, in preserving this important Thai cultural tradition and also a very lovely and fitting gift for the First Lady.
Now, I'm sure you know all the items, you've handpicked them. If I were to ask you, which was the item that you liked the most?
I think the item I like the most is this alms bowl that was originally on display, or would have been gifted to high-ranking monks during King Chulalongkorn, King Rama V's second coronation in 1873. And what's very interesting is that this alms bowl, which is made of lacquerware and has mother-of-pearl inlay, was then part of this 1876 U.S. Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia, a large set of artifacts that were ultimately gifted to the Smithsonian. So when we were developing this project, we were working with a lot of Thai experts, and whenever they would see this artifact, they were just amazed that this item that has so much cultural and historical significance was part of an American collection, and that we were bringing it back to Bangkok for this exhibition.
All right, thank you very much for sharing that valuable information with
Thank you.
us. Thanks, Trevor.
It was my pleasure.
And now we're joined by a museum docent at the Great and Good Friends exhibition, Preem Kukasina Kubaha from Chulalongkorn University. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you very much for joining us. Tell us how you became part of the exhibition.
So I am a part of the US Embassy's program called YSEALI, or Young Southeast Asian Leadership Initiative, where we got scholarships to go to the US, and so they chose us to be the docents for this exhibition.
I'm sure there had to be like preparations, for this historic event. Tell us a bit about the preparations. You had to go to training, right?
Yes, there was like 2-day trainings from the curators, where a whole lot of information were given to us, and we had to rehearse giving tours.
Was it difficult, learning about everything, the history of the US-Thai relations, especially concerning the 79 items?
It was difficult, but it was really fun. It was amazing, yes.
So you've been giving tours to the people. It must have been like huge crowds coming to the exhibition. What was the response from, the public, the people, when they saw the beautiful gifts?
Most of them were amazed by the objects because they were really beautiful. And also the footage that was shown in the exhibition, like the footage of His Majesty's giving speeches. Many people were delighted, were surprised of his fluency and stuff, yeah.
And part of the exhibition, you'll bring the audience here to this room.
Yes.
It is the interactive room?
Yes, it's the interactive room where people could take photos, write notes, also play some games. And there's also the Google goggles, which is like the virtual reality goggles where you can view the exhibition in 360 degrees.
What do you find is the most popular part of the exhibition?
The most popular part, you could say it's this room as well, because it's not only for kids, but adults had really great fun in this room. When I took the ambassadors from, there were like 70 countries, and they got a tour here, and they spent nearly 30 minutes in this room.
In this room?
Yes, while they wrote lots of notes about friendship and...
Friendship is da-da-da.
Yes.
Fill in the blank, whatever, and then stick it there?
Yeah, and the ambassador of Portugal also told me that he was inspired by this exhibition, that because Portugal had a longer history between Thailand, so he said that he was inspired to also make an exhibition like this, displaying the gifts.
Now this part looks fun.
Yes, yeah, where you could...
What do you do in there?
You take pictures in there. You go stand behind, yeah.
And just simply have fun.
Yes.
Now the exhibition ends on the 30th of June. Would you like to invite the public or perhaps your friends from Chulalongkorn University and other university students to come have a look at the exhibition?
Sure. So, as you know, this exhibition displays objects that are shown for the first time in the world and also the first time in Thailand. It's like bringing the objects back to home where they were first made. So it's a really special exhibition where I think it would be interesting for lots of people to come and visit. So, and the exhibition ends on 30th June, and unfortunately the artifacts have to be carried back. So don't miss your chance to come here.
Certainly, you have to come here. Have a look for yourself. It's absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much, Preem, for joining us on the program. สวัสดีค่ะ The Great and Good Friends exhibition will run through June 30th at the Queen Circuit Museum of Textiles. Most of the gifts are never ever seen before by the public and shown for the first time in the Kingdom of Thailand. So it's a great opportunity to see the story of both nations through these historic gifts. And that's it for today's edition of Be My Guest. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Cholapansan Rula. See you next time. สวัสดีค่ะ